Hi, it's Louise from welshbunnies.com recording my second Project Life video on today, Tuesday the 3rd of February 2015. Hope you like it. Hey everyone, this is week 2 of January 2015 and I'm doing the whole week this week, not starting from halfway through. And so I'll show you where I'm at. I knocked up this board to make it easier to do the videos, so then I can slide this in and out to show you how I'm getting on. What I've got here is the photos printed out, and this is, I love Japanese things, and this is from the Studio Ghibli film My Neighbor Totoro. And I write in it my Project Life notes, which is something I'm trying. I'm not really great at it, as you can see. There's not really much written in it, but I've just written a couple of notes here for the last week. I've got some of the things that Naomi said to scrap it, but I'm trying to take more notes so that when I fall a bit behind I can read it. Otherwise I'm just going by what's in the photographs. But I've noted down the one thing on there and so I'm trying to use a bit more of that. And so here I am with my photos printed out, and I can show you how it's going. So I'll just pop this out of the way. So here we are. These are my photographs. And so what I initially do is I just look at where they are. And this one, Naomi's arm is pointing in, so I might place that one here, I think. This one's a nice one. This is one of the... This is actually, you can't tell, but it's quite a steep hill. She's pushing her up it. Okay, so I print... my 4x6 out. So I'll just start cutting these apart. Through. A little bit tail on there. There we go. I'll put that one there. I quite like to have, if I've got two photographs of the same sort of thing, I'll tend to place them quite near to each other. Now, what I've got here is, I printed out 5 3x4 pictures for this week, which meant that when I was doing my editing, I ended up with grabbing a spare photo. So this is 2 copies of this one, but what I do is, I like to make little mini books for my mother-in-law, my mother. So I'll just take these little pictures and I'll just pop them aside into a pile that I call Project Life Extras, and it's where I've decided I don't want a photo where I've got 2 copies for some reason. I can then just use them to make little mini books for people who might want it. So this is a nice one, and it's a different picture of this. It's not, she doesn't have the same facial expression, but it's the same crop down. It's such a lovely smile she's got in that one. Okay, so then there's this picture. Now this picture is of me. I don't think it's a especially good picture of me, but then I think I'm like a lot of scrapbookers. I might not necessarily like pictures of me that much. Much prefer pictures of my husband and kids. But because it's actually a picture of us on the sofa at bedtime. Lizzie's just had her last bottle. Naomi's in her... my daughter Naomi was born with a club foot, so she has this treatment called boots and bars. So she's in her boots and bars for bedtime because she wears them during the night. She's got a teddy bear. But what I'm going to do is, I've decided to put this one in the centre, and I find that this can be quite a nice thing if you've got a picture that can be divided quite easily in the centre. And then I just stick that there to bridge the 2 things. These are some friends who came around. Now I already know that I want this to be a 4x4 square with some journaling on the side, so I'm just going to straight up whip 2 inches off that and stick that one there, I think, or it might go there. I'll depend. I'll see what else happens. Now this one, I'm going to put this one here because I know that I've got these 2 pictures that are telling this story, and these are sequential photographs. So this is Naomi trying to feed Lizzie and Lizzie rolling away, and then eventually the game progressed to pouring Lizzie's milk on her head. So I'm going to put these here, and they're telling a sequence 1, 2, 3 of Lizzie. So I can put some journaling, just roll up my sleeves, I can put some journaling here to tell the story of that. And then I've got, okay, so then I've got these photographs. So this one is going to be think I might only use one of these. I was planning to maybe use the two of them like this as a 4x6, but I've actually got a couple of other things. So I might just grab this one because Lizzie's got lovely facial expressions. Let's pop that one there maybe. Put that one to the side for now. Now this, if you can see, I've just printed out. This is 2x3, the size of this picture, but actually it's from the same thing as this, and Naomi's got a lovely, so she's lying down on the side, and Lizzie's rubbing around, sucking her little fingers, which is cute. But this photograph was actually focusing sort of here, and so Naomi's face, my daughter, it's not in focus, and so I've printed it out really small, and I'm going to put it on the week card. So the card where it says week 2 and the dates, I'm just going to pop this card onto it. And that is one of the ways that if I've got a photo I really like, but it's not actually good enough, that I could print it out as a 4x6 because it's blurred, or the colours haven't come out right, for whatever reason. This is a good way for me. So I'll put the week card here, I think. Put that there so I can work on that. Now, I've got two pictures left. This one, and I play a game called Hearthstone, and this is a screenshot from the computer game saying that I completed like an achievement in it, which is a weird thing to put in a scrapbook, but the kind of thing that I think very accurately details my life, I suppose. Like, you know, it wasn't very well this week, the week 2, and so I spent some time playing a computer game, and I achieved this thing. So what I'm going to do is, I think it's not a big enough and important enough thing that I want to have it on a 4x6, but it is just a little thing, so I'm going to stick that there. And then I'll put a big piece of journaling here to explain, this is me playing this game. And now the last photograph, this is not 4x6, if you look, it's not even proportional. This is an old photograph. This is a photograph from when I was Lizzie's age, really. That's me, and that's my dad. Now the reason why I'm particularly scrapbooking this photo this week is this week contains the 9th of January, which was my father's birthday. Now my father passed away about 10 years ago this year. But I want to have him in my scrapbook so that I can show him to my children. And I've got a picture of him upstairs, and I say, this is Mummy's daddy. So like, this is my daddy, this is Mummy's daddy. Naomi says, oh, Mummy's daddy. Don't really think she knows what that means yet. But on the week of his birthday, I like to have a picture of him so that I can point and say, you know, this is my dad. And you know, it's nice. But this is the original. I've taken a scan so that if I damage it or if I want this picture again, I can reprint it out. But I'm just going to use the original, otherwise it's just going to sit in a box. I have my Project Life albums and my scrapbooking albums. I don't have just photo albums of all my photos. So I tend to just frequently look at my, you know, Project Life albums, but I don't keep other photographs, they just go in a box. So I'm going to scrapbook with the original. I'll put that there actually. I'll put this here. And so now we've got to this stage, I might look at what colours I think might be nice. Now this has got some blue in it and purple, just a little bit of purple here. And I quite like the idea of purple and gold. I mean, it's in this card, but I really just like that combination anyway. So I think I'm going to go purple, a bit of gold, and then what goes nicely with purple, maybe a bit of pink, and maybe a bit of grey. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to decide on my colours, I'm going to gather some supplies together from those colours, and then I will come back and show you the colour scheme that I've decided. So here are the scraps I've chosen, and I've chosen purple, gold, and then I went with pink and white, so here's just a scrap of white, and I'll put the whole colour scheme together so you can sort of see where I've gone with this. And I think it's a nice colour scheme. So I've got I like the look of this one for the week page because I've got this small photograph, so having a small photograph with lots of this heart background. Here's some of the other scraps, just for my scrap baskets. So these are just literally things that were from my scrap baskets. Is that this side or? No, yeah, that's white. This is a nice piece of vellum, which I can find quite useful sometimes, so I'll just put that to the side. And then I grabbed these. They are, it was a 12 by 12, and I cut it into these little squares, but they've got some nice pink squares. Here we go. Some nice little details that I could put down, so I grabbed these. I like that strawberry. I also grabbed this lettering, so I thought it would go well. Oh, there's another piece of gold. So I thought it would go nicely. These are pebbles, sort of glittery ones for the title. And then I've got this piece here, if I can pick it up. So I had this picture of Lizzie all wrapped up in her snowsuit on the 3x4, but I'm actually because this is a little picture of Hello Kitty in a little snowsuit that's very similar, I'm going to put this up onto a 4x6 and add that in there. And this is very special to me because it comes from some note paper I bought on my honeymoon in Tokyo, and I love to scrapbook things like that are sort of meaningful in a different way. And when I bought this, I could never have imagined Lizzie and how lovely it would be to be her, to have children, because we thought at that time maybe we couldn't have children. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to push this board away and I'm going to start working on the cards, which I'm fairly certain I know what I want to do with. So I'll just going to actually grab this stuff, put it round to the left. I can find room on this table. And then I'll just push this board out of the way. Now the first card I want to work on is this one. And as soon as I saw this dark purple, I knew that this is what I wanted to work with it for. Now, normally if I'm having a mat, I would have it rounded corners and I would round the corners with a photograph. But this is an original photograph. And I suppose I kind of want to, I'll keep this to scrap because I want to use it. I kind of want to accentuate the fact that it's this old photograph, so I'm going to keep it as it is. Also, I kind of don't like the idea of chomping into this old photograph. Now, there's quite a bit of empty space on this side, and I'm going to put, I think, a little journaling tag there. But this is a picture of us in Scotland. I'm from Scotland. I don't currently live there now, I live in Wales, but there's a lot of trees in this picture, and I really love my Long Fawn wood grain stamp. So I've taken that out and I'm going to stamp. I'll just grab a piece of scrap paper. This is a piece of scrap paper that's lying around that my kids have been playing with. Okay, so and I've made sure this time that it's properly stuck down. So I'm not going to go right to the end of the stamp because I'm going to be stamping it on this 4x thing. So I just pop this down, give it a good firm press, and I'll stamp it from this side. So I don't want to have a repeating pattern, so I try and make sure that I alternate it a bit. Go just once more. Stamp. Oops. Going this way now. There we go. And there we go. Now we have a nice sort of pale, don't know if that even shows up on the camera, a nice pale wood grain pattern. These things out of the way. Like this. Now I think I could centre it in the corner, but I don't like that, so I'm just going to centre it with an equal border on like that, and then I'm going to put a label tag on here. Right, so just going to grab this. Now this picture is quite bent with age, so I'm going to add a lot of glue, more than I normally would, to make sure that it kind of stays down. We'll stick this. As it shows. There we go. Stick it down. Nice and firm. Now I want to have a pink tab here. So let's grab just I think that might be too colourful. I just want some pale pink. Oh, I could stick that on. Oh, I quite like how that looks. I could just do journaling straight on the top of that. Do I like how that looks? Maybe. I quite like how let's grab. This is my toolbox. I got this from IKEA. I just stick my tools in here, and then any stuff that I'm sort of currently working on, the 4x6, I just stuff in here. That was from last week, and I stuck it in there while the thing dried. Okay, so I'm going to cut myself a tag out of this pale pink tag on there, and I'll keep this with the heart on the flower pattern for a different thing, but I want this to be rounded corners, so I don't think it's going to fit into my corner rounder, so I'll just eyeball it to make it like a tab. That's it, will go there. It's quite bare here. Maybe if I grab this doily, I feel like I want to put some gold in behind there or something. Or maybe this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out quickly and stick it in behind there. My scrapbooking is quite a lot about just not project life. I just sort of go with my instincts, and then if I feel like it's not working out, then I'll just swap it around, and if necessary I will just reprint photographs. It doesn't bother me because I print them at home just for ease of it. I'm not great at getting tons of photographs ready for printing all at once and then sending them off, although that would be cheaper and easier in some ways. So if I kind of stick that in there, that's roughly, put that tag in there, or other way around, the tag in here, this here. No, I don't like how that looks. Oh, so I'm having difficulty with this one already. I think what I'm going to do is I will have a think about this one and we'll come back to it. So I'll just pop that aside. Instead, I will grab, where's it gone? This one. And now I can't see the photograph that's meant to go with it. Okay, I'm just gonna take a break, find the photograph and then come back. Okay, 3, 2, 1. So here's the title card. I decided I wanted this picture, this background, because the heart pattern is quite subtle, but with such a lot of white space you might see it. And then I decided I wanted this, which is this lovely, this is a 12 by 12 gold doily print on vellum. And it's from, I think it's from one of the Maggie Holmes collections for crepe paper. And then these letters. So first things first, I'm just going to change this to be trim this off. Might use that later on. Here's a 4x6. And I do want this one to have the corners rounded. So just quickly round these corners, and that means that the photograph's corners need rounded as well. Now I know, but I want this to have a white mat, so I'm going to grab some white. Let's put a bit of glue on there, and quickly just whack this through the trimmer. It should take 2 sets. Here, I'll do it this way. More sense. And I don't line it up by the measurements, I just eyeball it when it's like a small mat like this. So there's this, I've got this, this, and these. So I'm going to cut this out now, and I'll decide how much I want of it. It really is a lovely pattern paper, this. I bought a few of it, and I didn't use any of it in its full 12 by 12 format. I just cut all of these roughly out so that I could use them as details like this. And I like metallic on Project Life just as an accent. I think it can add a lot of sparkle. Obviously I love bling. So here we go. Put that there at a slight angle, and then put the week here and the date there. Okay, now if you can see, this isn't stuck down enough, so I'll just grab my detail sort of thing and just add a bit more glue, because I don't like things to feel sticking up like that. So I'll just stick this down. There we go. There we go. That's nice and stuck now. And for gluing this down, I think I'll use this runner, because it's much easier to, it's easier to get. And I'll just cover the bits. I'm sticking this down like this. There we go. Just a little bit of thing, so I'll grab this again. Stick that down. And then cut off the excess. Now this looks like a bit of a weird like scrap that I have left. This scrap. But I'm pretty sure that I could just stick this in somewhere as like an accent detail, so I'll put that to the side in case I want to use it later. I'm going to stick down this. My ATG down this time. Try to go right to the edges this time so that it's not going to stand up. I'm just going to put it at a slight angle. And now, just pop my tools away. I will grab the lettering. Here we are. Let's pull this out and grab week 2. Oh no, I've run out. Oh no, there's one more 2. I was about to say, oh no, I've run out of 2s. What can I do to make a 2 out of what's left? We have one remaining. So I really like this alphabet, so I've used it before. I think I used some of it on, not this Christmas, but last Christmas's. So Christmas, I think I've spaced out those letters a bit too much because it's such a skinny font. I'm going to put them even close together than that. I think I used this particular lettering on Christmas 2013. So obviously you want a lot of bling when you're scrapbooking Christmas week. Two. There we go. Week two. Now I always print on my dates. Just let me check the dates. I know it includes the 9th of January because that's my dad's birthday, but it's the 5th to the 11th. So I checked my date in my diary. So it's 5th to the 11th. So we roll up January the 5th, 2015. Actually, I think I'm going to go backwards. So January the 11th, 2015. Link this up. Just, I think, and stick this right in the corner. And then, now that I've got that to aim for, January the 5th. Now sometimes this can come out quite scruffy. Sorry, make sure not to get my head in the frame this time. And there we go. January 5th to January 11th. Now it's quite untidy, this stamping, but I really don't mind. My husband is out with the kids right now, and so I have to be quite quick to try and get scrapbooking finished whilst he's got my little scamps out. So and I don't think it's so lopsided or so messy that it really impacts on how it looks. So there we go. That's this. That's the title card finished. Lovely picture, nice glittery things, and then a bit of background. Now here's this picture of some of my friends visiting, and I know that I want to put this one on a paler purple, which I've got here. So I grab this one, and it's a nice thing to have on. So I will cut out a 6x4 on this. Put it through the machine. Now, when I've got a card that is half photograph and the other half is card, I have a tendency to either have it straight cornered or curved corners, but I definitely wouldn't have straight corners on the photograph side and curved corners on the paper side. It's got to be all the corners have to be the same within the same card. So there's a little trim because this is actually slightly less than 6x4, so I'll just trim off that excess because the card is flush with the photograph. Whiz off the tiny bits. That should be enough. And I'll stick this photo down. So here we go. Stick this photo down. There we go. And I've decided with this that I definitely want it to be a rounded corner. So I'll grab my corner rounder and chop off all of the corners. Now, what I like to do if I've got this sort of edges, I often like to put in a little border. Does this piece work for that? I could stick this piece in like that. Nope. And I do just like to mess around with things, see if I think any of it, well, that might work if I just have that as a little bit of detail. I'll try that, because I think that might work well anyway. So let's just set it and stick it till that point. I think that looks quite nice. Put a little journaling in here. Yeah, I like how that looks. I think I might like some quite dark pink there though. So I'm going to grab this streamer and cut up I'm just going to say like a 1/4 inch. Something like that. Oh, oops. Cutting blade of my streamer has fallen out. This streamer has replaceable blades, which is really useful because then when the blade starts to get a bit dull, you just clip in another one and away you go. Okay, this aside. And slide this just under here. And I'll stick that on. Yep, I like how that looks. I like the dark pink and the thing. Right, so let's glue this down. I'll grab this glue, I guess. Just something, just glue up a few 4 inches. And I want it to be just behind the photograph. I'll just tuck that up slightly so I can manage this. There we go. Done and snip. And then, because this is just a little piece, I'll use this glue. Put this on. That's the glue. And just tuck this in to where you can't see the cut. There we go. Now I think what I should do now is I have a Fiskars punch that does a little journaling cards. And so I will grab my white. I think I've got a smaller piece of scrap white than that. There we go. Just grab a scrap, pop it out, and stick it in there. In there. Yeah. And then I can just do my journaling on there. So, glue on. And if I grab this on here, just stick that down. Now this is where I'm going to put my little bit of journaling on. So I'm quite happy with that card. I might want to put a little more embellishment on that, but I think that's the sort of thing that I'm going to leave till the end because I do tend to do all my journaling all at once. Now, this card, which I don't think many people will understand what it's about. So this comes from a computer game called Hearthstone. Computer game called Hearthstone. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim off like 1/4 inch and less than that even. Let's say just 2/16 of an inch, so that I can have a very, very small border around the edge. Because these colours do match, so there is purple and gold in here, but I just want to more make it fit in with the colour scheme by giving it a border of something that is on the rest of the page. I think I'm going to grab this piece of scrap here. Let's just see how that looks. Yeah, it accentuates the gold in it to make it more obvious that this is gold. So I'm pretty sure this is already a 4x6. Yeah, that is 4 inches because I would have been using this in the project thing. Now, do I want straight edges or rounded edges? I actually think that the picture in here, he's got sort of like this weird round headdress, so I'll cut him off. He's a villain called Kel'Thuzad. And in the computer game, I defeated him. Now, this is the sort of thing that I like to scrapbook, because often my scrapbook is primarily about my kids. And so it is nice to scrapbook anything that it's a bit unusual or is about something that I've done. And this is obviously just playing a computer game, but I do Japanese revision and I sit Japanese exams to try and get a qualification towards that. Just for my own hobby, not for any work-related reason. I think I'll put the gold up in the top corner rather than the bottom corner. And so I scrapbook that as well, like just these little things. Now I think I'm going to grab this one. I'm going to use the same label one, and I really like this label one. I use it quite a lot because it's very small, and obviously on Project Life you want quite small journaling bits. Stick that there. I kind of want to keep this label here because it actually explains what was happening. I might overlap. There we go. No, I don't like how that looks. Sometimes it can be tricky, and you know, this is where all the trial and error comes in. Nope, I don't like how that looks, so what I'm going to do instead is I'll just put the journaling, just grab this right now, the journaling, and just put the journaling like, well, it's actually quite tricky because this glitter on the edge means it's not a great surface for journaling. So, I will just very, like, oh, I'm just going to keep my head out of the way this time, it was last week. I'll just put a tiny bit. There we go. So I just put a tiny bit of journaling on there, and now that there's just a little bit there, I will call that done. So this is where we've got to. We've completed this one apart from journaling, this one, and I'm still thinking about how to finish off this one. So I often leave quite a few pictures just plain, so I might leave some of these plain. But the next things I want to do is this card and these 2 cards, and then adding a little bit of journaling and embellishment to these 2 cards. Now, so I'm going to take this apart away again. I'm going to grab my big shots. Now, I'm going to use these dies, which I use really often with Project Life. They're a very good size and they are asymmetric, which I like. They're not totally symmetrical hearts, so they're just slightly more organic shapes. And I specifically grabbed this piece of card for use with this heart because this is a really metallic, shiny piece of card that I can't, to my mind, it is too shiny and reflective. I couldn't put this down and have a couple of bits on it, like as a back. Like I definitely wouldn't use it as a background for this because it's just so shiny and you know, bold. It's just too bold for me. But I do love to use it for printing out embellishments. Now, I ended up buying, I think it was for last Christmas, I got actually this magnetic stand for working with these thin metallic dies. So just quickly put this through, and now with all stuck in there at the moment, we have some lovely gold hearts. Now the other thing I want to grab is the Lawn Fawn dies. I do love them. The other one I'm going to use, I'm just going to cut that quickly, is this banner piece. Is a nice size for Project Life, so I'm going to cut out one of these in white for journaling, and the smallest of the stitched rectangles. Hopefully it'll come out on the video, but these are rectangles, but they create an embossed stitch around the edge, which is a lovely bit of minor detail that can really lift things. So I'll just grab a piece of white, stick these on, and move it through the machine, obviously. There we go. There we are. I used to have a Cricut machine, but I found it very difficult to put down and take up. I live in the UK, and I think that American houses are generally quite a lot bigger than the houses in the UK. So if I had a dedicated craft room there, it was just set up all the time, I could just sort of use it off and on, that'd be amazing. But with that limited space, it's all about convenience, really. Right. So here's a couple of journaling tags I will definitely be using at some point. And now let's poke out these with the methyl dyes. So I've had these little, normally I can do it with my scissors. There we go. There we go. And see, that is a lovely gold heart. Really nice and crisp. If I can get it out, this one's determined not to come out. No, it really doesn't want to play. Whoops. Right, let's deal with this later. I can fix that later. I don't often use the really big ones. Now, I've got printed these ones out because with this card, I want to add 2 hearts and a bit of journaling. So I'm going to grab my journaling pen, and I want to have one of these hearts here next to me and my baby, and a heart here next to my little girl. And then I'm going to do a little bit of journaling straight onto the photograph here in this white space. So I'll put those others to the side, and I'll probably end up just adding them in. Let's do some glue. Put that there. I also like how it points to her and her teddy bear. This is a teddy bear I crocheted her for Christmas this year. And she's very fond of it, which makes me happy, because I was hoping that she was going to really like it, and she did. It's from her favourite show, which is the Octonauts. So then the journaling on the card is just talking about how this is our bedtime routine. Just quickly adding a little bit of journaling on there. There we go. And then we stick this back where it belongs in the. And I think, you know, you don't have to have too much stuff on all the cards. So what I'm going to do next is I've actually just realised I don't have any more purple. So I've got no more purple scraps to work with now. So I'm going to go to my collection of papers, not my scrap basket, and look for some nice sort of rich purple or sort of medium purple, so that I can use a bit of purple and And I'm also going to look for some pink because I didn't pick up any big scraps of pink, so then I can carry on with finishing off the cards. So this is what jumped out at me when I went to my collection. Now I bought this a while ago. It was Studio Calo Lemon Lush collection. I never intended to use this as a 12 by 12. I was always planning to take out sort of 6 by 4 chunks and 3 by 4 chunks to use in Project Life. And I am planning to, even though this is in red and it doesn't really match, I think it'd be fine to have that. Planning to take a 6 by 4 chunk like here around the today and just use that straight on the layout as a 3 by 4 card. So I will cut out a 3 by 4 card from that piece. This piece I'm planning to use as a background for the pictures. Now it's got the purple and it's got the pink, so 2 pinks of purple, and there's going to be very little of this on show, so I thought that was a good choice for that background. And this I'm going to use as the background for these pictures, and it's just a sort of quite hot pink with just a pale pattern in the background. So I will grab my trimmer and 4 inches by 6 inches. There we go. I will chop the corners off because obviously this is a card I want the corners chopped because all the other elements on the page have rounded corners. I will stick this on here, this on here, and I'm going to grab a little gold heart and stick that there. And I'm going to call that done because really I don't want too much fussiness because I really just want to accentuate this lovely thing. So I'm going to stick these down. So use the lead again on this one. This is quite a light paper, so I'm just going to quickly use a pen marker. Tilt that slightly like that. Down and then it goes here. And it's good to have, if I'm using gold as an accent colour, to try and include it on a few cards so that it comes across throughout the whole layout and it's not just all centred on one particular. There we go, that's lovely. Oh, she's a cutie. Now I'll grab the pictures I am planning to use, and I'm planning to use them with this background. Okay, so I'll see how this turns out. This is one of the things where I'm looking at it thinking this will be a good idea with the full knowledge that I might just try it out and think, oh no, that is not worked out how I do it. So cut this into twos. Now this is telling, these 3 photos, the 2 3 by 4 and the 4 by 4 are telling a story. And so I want them to be put on the same back. Now looking at this, I'm wondering, do I want to have a white border around the edges of these, or do I want to just leave them as they are? I think I might just leave them as they are. Now this one obviously needs to be taken in a bit so that you can see the border. So I'm going to cut just a 1/4 inch off the top and a 1/4 inch off this side. I'll see how that looks, and if necessary I can trim it down more, or I can leave that as is. No, I think that's a good amount. And now you can see that having this border, I'm going to actually go like that. Yeah, I'm going to go like that. Means that the pictures, it's more obvious that these pictures are set And then I'm going to grab one of these and put some journaling there. And I'll probably grab the last of the little hearts, little gold hearts we've got, and stick it there. And that's what this is going to look like. So I'm going to stick this all down and then show you what it looks like when they're finished. So here's what these look like finished. I put this one at this angle and this one at this angle, leaving a little border. And the reason why I offset these and put them at an angle like this is to accentuate the action that's in this picture. So in this picture, Naomi really is determined to feed Lizzie, and Lizzie is really determined not to drink from her bottle. So she's really rolling out of the way. And I just put a tiny bit of journaling and a little heart on here. And I think because they've got the same background, it helps to join them together. And because it's such a small amount, the fact that it's got other colours and things, it doesn't really matter. You can see the pink and you can see the purple, so all looks good. So I'll put these onto the week board. Now I had also, whilst away from the camera, cut out a 4x6 from this. Now, it just isn't doing it for me, so what I want to do instead is cut it a bit smaller and stick it on pink background. And also, I'm planning to cut out these letters with an X-Acto knife and put gold behind. So I don't like the red. Really not a big fan of red and purple together. And I really like having all of the colours on one card. So the writing in white, purple as the background, gold for the today, and then pink as a matte. So I'm going to do that, and once I've done that, we'll be almost finished, and I'll bring the whole board back in and we can see what's left to finish up. So here's the finished card. I took it in by like 1/4 of an inch on the top and the bottom to create a 1/8 of an inch border around the side. I used an X-Acto knife to cut out the red today and stuck gold underneath, and I really like how it looks. Now to put it back on the board, let's just bring it all back, and we can see where we are. So now it's time to finish up. The first thing that I can see is that all the colour seems to be clumped in here, and the outsides kind of have all the big pictures with not a lot of detail. So what I'm going to do to balance that, I'm going to move this one in here, put that one there, and do the same on the other side. So move this one here, that one there, and then rather than having another accent one in here, I'm going to move this across, and to bring in the dark purple on this corner, I'm going to make this a dark purple card. And then, so all that's left to do now is the journaling on this card, finishing up this card with whatever I decide to do with it, and then we're done. And I really like how this is looking, but I really need some dark purple to anchor that there. Okay, so let's put this aside and grab this one. Got this picture now. I've got these, this is what I've got left, and I was thinking that maybe if I put that in there, it would accentuate the blockiness of the matte and the picture not having rounded corners. And then if I put this heart in here, and I really like how that looks. It's just a simple detail. This accentuates the blockiness of the rest of it, and then I can just put the name and the place and the date of where we were then. So I will stick this down using this glue. Still getting the hang of recording in my project life. So I think I still need a bit of practice on filming it. Let's stick that here. We want this to be inside the box and not over the box. And then just stick down this heart, and I want that to cover up the white edge and the pink edge. Oh, got a bit of glue on the front of this. There we go. That still looks good. just rub off a bit of this glue with my finger. I think that's good. I might run over the top of this with a baby wipe. I'll just do that now. It's if I get a bit of extra glue on a surface, I just grab some baby wipes. And I keep them around for any time I'm using ink or anything like that. I just wipe this gently, sort of in circular motion, to sort of remove the glue. There we go, that's better. And I'll grab my journaling, and I'm just going to put the name and the date on here. Oh, whoops. Just realised I haven't stuck down the... Oh no, I did stick down the pink one, but obviously not stuck down very well. Just right place and the year. There we go. There, just trying to stick this down a bit more. There we go. That one's done. For the final one, I've already cut out purple. And what I thought would be nice, so I grabbed a couple of the pink coloured embellishments from the lot I showed at the beginning, that one as well. And then there's this, which came off the piece of pink I used to journal on just there on that card. And then I wanted to bring in this again. And I was thinking, this is going to be on the far left side. If I grabbed a piece of this, I'm just going to take it so that I end up with one stripe of each of these colours. So I'll go to the light pink, line it up on the light pink, and then I'll want obviously 4 inches to go on this card. I can stick this. I think we want it to be like this, and then maybe stick this on here, and this. I like how that looks. And it's going to be next to a lovely picture of Naomi. So I will just stick all this down. I'm not centering it because I sort of want to have it to be asymmetric, with more of the purple leading into the rest of the page. And then just stick the glue on here. And that's come over the edge on that one. Then no sweets. So you can see plenty of the dark purple. This brings out the patterned paper that's on the right hand side, brings a bit of it into the left. There we go. Bring that back in. Fine. And there we go. I'm going, apart from this journaling, once I finished up the journaling, I'm going to call that done for this week. I really like the colours, some absolutely lovely photographs. I think this one, because it's on the darkest paper and the darkest patterned paper, it's quite simple with this nice big gold heart. It's one of the ones that stands out, which is nice because I think this might be my favourite picture for this week, because that's me as a baby with my dad. But I also love these other photographs. So I am going to call that finished for this week. That's it for this episode. I hope you liked it. You can track me down on my website, welshbunnies.com, or I'm also on Facebook or Twitter, or you can check out my earlier episode. Thanks.